Her father bought her brother an $847,000 apartment when he graduated. When she graduated, he handed her a folder. Inside was a deed to 12 acres of dead land and a house that hadn't been touched since 1991. He didn't make a speech. He didn't hug her. He leaned back in his chair, looked at the ceiling, and said 7 words. "At least you can't ruin anything important." She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She said okay, drove 2.5 hours north, and moved into a house with no heat in June. 3 years later, she sold that same piece of land, the one her father called barely worth the dirt, for $2,850,000. And on the exact day her brother showed up with a pickup truck and cardboard boxes to take it from her, he found a tent, 60 chairs, a notary, and a signed contract. This is the story of Sienna Fry, and it starts with a dinner she was never supposed to remember. The restaurant was called Balthazar. It sits on Spring Street in Soho, New York. Red leather booths, white tile floors, the kind of place where the bread basket costs more than a lot of people's lunches. The kind of place you go when you want to say, "We've arrived." The Fry family arrived on a Saturday evening in May 2018. There were 5 of them around the table. Douglas Fry, 55, founder and CEO of a mid-size logistics company, a man who spoke in short sentences and made decisions quickly. Vivian Fry, 51, his wife, the kind of woman who smiled like she was holding a secret. Garrett Fry, 28, their son, freshly graduated from Columbia Business School with an MBA. And Sienna Fry, 18, their daughter, who had just finished her senior year of high school and was about to start college in the fall. The 5th seat belonged to Garrett's girlfriend at the time. She doesn't matter for this story. She was gone by the following spring. The bill came to $680. Garrett ordered Dom Perignon for the toast. Douglas didn't flinch. Halfway through dessert, Douglas stood up. He was not a man given to theatrics. He didn't clear his throat more than once. He didn't check if everyone was listening. He simply stood, and the table went quiet, because that was the effect Douglas Fry had on a room. He looked at his son. "Garrett, your mother and I want you to be able to focus on your career, so we bought you a place." Garrett's eyebrows went up. Vivian smiled the smile of a woman who had been keeping this secret for months, maybe longer. "Upper East Side," Douglas continued. 23rd floor, 1,200 square feet. You move in next month." The table went quiet. Then Garrett laughed. Not a laugh of surprise, a laugh of expectation. The laugh of a man who had on some level known this was coming, who had perhaps grown up in a household where this kind of thing was simply what happened. "Wait," he said. "You bought me an apartment." $847,000, Douglas said. "Plus $15,000 for furniture. Get yourself set up properly." Garrett stood, hugged his father, hugged his mother. There were tears, happy ones, the kind that come when something you've been imagining finally becomes real. Sienna was sitting at the end of the table. She was 18 years old. She had a glass of sparkling water in her hand. She watched her brother hug her father, watched her mother cry into a napkin, and she did the math in her head. $847,000 for the apartment, $15,000 for furniture. $862,000 total. Her mother reached across the table and touched her hand. "Your turn will come, sweetheart, when you're ready." Sienna smiled. 3 years later, Sienna Fry graduated from college. She had studied environmental science. She had a 3.7 GPA. She had worked campus jobs for 4 years, tutoring, administrative filing, weekend shifts at the campus library, to keep her student loans under $30,000. She had written a thesis on sustainable agriculture and post-industrial landscapes that her advisor called genuinely impressive. She thought she had done well. The graduation dinner was at Applebee's. Her choice. She picked it because it was cheaper, because she didn't want to ask for anything she hadn't earned. The bill was $86. Her father looked at the menu the whole time like he was studying for an exam. Her mother asked about summer plans. Sienna said she was figuring it out. Garrett didn't come. He sent a text to the family group chat. "Congrats, sis. Busy day at work." 3 sentences. 12 words. 1 exclamation point. Her best friend Natalie came instead. Natalie was 29 that year. A graphic designer who made about $45,000 a year and split her rent 3 ways. She gave Sienna a gift she'd wrapped herself, a small box tied with a ribbon. Inside were earrings, sterling silver, tiny lavender flowers, the kind of detail that requires knowing someone well enough to remember what they love. $40. Natalie had saved 2 months to buy them. After lunch, Sienna waited. In the parking lot, in the car, on the drive home. She thought maybe her father would call. Maybe her mother would pull her aside before they left. Nothing. 3 days later, her father called. Come to the house. We need to discuss your situation. Not her future. Not her gift. May 26th, 2021, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sienna drove to her parents' house in Westchester. 45 minutes from campus. A house she had grown up in. A house with a living room where 3 years earlier they had toasted champagne over her brother's apartment. She sat in that same living room now, on the same couch, and waited. Her father walked in with a manila folder. We're giving you property, he said. Sienna opened it. Property deed, 12 acres, Hudson Valley, New York. A house built in 1978, last renovated in 1991. Inside the folder was an appraisal document dated 2020. The property value was listed as $198,000. Her father had left a sticky note on the appraisal in his own handwriting. Barely worth the land. House might need to be torn down. There was another note from the appraiser at the bottom of the document. Structure adds no value. Potential teardown. You're giving me a house, she said. Take the old place, her father said. He leaned back in his chair the way he always did when a decision had already been made. At least you can't ruin anything important. Property tax is $4,200 a year. That's on you. Sienna had $4,392 in her bank account. 1 year of property tax would leave her with $192. She looked at her mother. Did you give Garrett a furniture budget? She asked. Her mother blinked. Garrett needed to establish himself professionally. How much? $15,000, her father said. But that was different. How? Garrett's apartment was an investment. This land is something to start with. Sienna did the math again. $198,000 for her, $862,000 for her brother. The gap was $664,000. That's how much less she was worth to them. Not in words, in numbers. Clean, precise, undeniable. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She closed the folder. Okay, she said. Her father looked surprised, like he had expected a fight, like he had maybe even wanted one. You'll take it? Her mother asked. Yes, her mother smiled. You'll love it, honey. It's quiet, peaceful, good for someone who likes plants. Someone who likes plants. Not someone with a degree in environmental science, not someone who had spent 4 years studying sustainable agriculture and soil composition. Someone who likes plants, like a hobbyist, like a girl with a window box. Sienna left at 4:15 in the afternoon. She drove back to her apartment, sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, and then called Natalie. They gave me a house, she said. That's amazing. It's worth 15% of what they gave Garrett. Silence. Oh, Natalie said. Yeah. Are you going to take it? I already said yes. Sienna looked at the windshield,
June
at the rain
12th,
that had started while she was inside.
2021.
Because I'm going to make it worth more than his apartment.
Afternoon.
I don't know how
yet. The address was 47
but I will.
Meebrook Road, Hudson Valley, New York, 118 miles from the city, 2 hours and 12 minutes of driving. Sienna pulled into the driveway and sat in her car for a moment before she got out. The house was gray, not painted gray, faded gray, the gray of something that had once been white and given up. The front porch step was cracked down the middle. The gutters had long since separated from the roofline on one side. The windows were intact, which she counted as a win. Behind the house, 12 acres of land stretched toward a tree line, overgrown, wild, dead in some patches, weedy in others. A rusted fence separated the property at the far end. Nothing about it said potential, everything about it said abandoned. She unlocked the front door. The air inside smelled like dust and mice and old wood. She spent the first hour walking through 5 rooms, kitchen, living room, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. The toilet worked. The sink worked. The water heater didn't. She called a repair company. Water heater replacement? That's about $1,850. Earliest appointment is July 9th. She hung up and checked her bank account. $4,180. After groceries on the drive up, she couldn't afford the water heater. That night, the temperature dropped to 38 degrees. June in upstate New York, cold at night, colder than you expect. Sienna had one blanket. She boiled water on the stove, 4 pots, poured them into the bathtub. Lukewarm. She sat in it for 10 minutes, dried off, put on 2 layers of clothes, and lay in bed, unable to sleep. At midnight, she got up and went back to the kitchen table. She opened the manila folder. She read the appraisal again. She read her father's sticky note, barely worth the land. She peeled it off carefully, folded it in half, and put it in her wallet. She was going to keep it. And one day she was going to show him he was wrong. The first week, Sienna didn't tell anyone where she was. Garrett didn't ask. Her parents didn't call. She had no Wi-Fi. She drove to a McDonald's 2 miles away to use the internet for work applications and to pay bills online. She spent her days walking the 12 acres, measuring, observing. The soil was dry, cracked in places, rocky in others. The slope ran gently downward from the house toward the back fence, maybe 3 or 4% grade, she estimated. In most places, nothing useful had grown in years. But there was one patch, about 200 square feet, tucked near the eastern boundary of the property where something had taken hold. Wild flowers. Nothing cultivated, nothing intentional. Just plants that had decided, against the odds, to grow where nobody planted them. She marked it with a stick, measured the steps from the house. 127 paces. On June 19th, a neighbor stopped by. Her name was Mrs. Chen. 74 years old, lived 0.6 miles down the road. She drove up in a station wagon that looked older than Sienna, got out, and studied the property the way experienced people study things. Not quickly, not with words, just with eyes. "You're Douglas Fry's daughter," she said. "Yes." Mrs. Chen looked at the house, at the land, back at Sienna. "Brave girl," she said. "No one's made that land work in 40 years. She drove away. Sienna stood in the driveway for a long time after that. 40 years. No one. She walked back to the wildflower patch, knelt down, pressed her hand into the soil. "This is where I start," she said out loud. "Right here." August 3rd, 2021, 7 weeks in. Sienna had planted a small vegetable garden using seeds from the hardware store. Tomatoes, lettuce, zucchini, a few herbs. She'd been watering by hand with a hose she found coiled in the garage, still functional, which she counted as another win. That Saturday, she drove to the Cold Spring Farmers Market. The vendor fee was $25. She set up a folding table she'd bought secondhand for $8 and arranged her vegetables in small paper bags. 4 hours in the sun. She made $43. Net profit, $18. She was packing up when a woman stopped at her table. Late 40s, graying hair pulled back in a bun. The kind of purposeful walk that belongs to people who have somewhere to be. She picked up a tomato, turned it in her hand, examined it, like she was reading something. "You grew these yourself?" "Yes." "Where?" "Hudson Valley." "I have 12 acres. The woman set the tomato down and looked at Sienna with the direct gaze of someone who was very quickly doing calculations. 12 acres? What are you doing with the rest of it?" "Most of it's still unusable. I'm working on it." The woman reached into her bag and produced a business card. Dr. Amelia Brennan, Sustainability Consultant, Cornell Cooperative Extension. "May I see your land?" "Why?" "Because 12 acres is a lot of potential, and you're selling tomatoes for $3 each. That tells me you don't know what you're sitting on yet." She walked away. She hadn't bought a single tomato. Sienna drove home with $61 in cash, minus the $25 vendor fee, $36 net. She tacked Dr. Brennan's card to the refrigerator with a magnet. On Thursday at 2 p.m., a Subaru Outback pulled into the driveway. "Show me," Dr. Brennan said, before she'd fully gotten out of the car. Dr. Brennan walked the property in silence. She knelt every 50 feet or so, pressed her fingers into the soil, sometimes picked up a handful and let it fall. She took 6 samples, labeled each one, put them in small plastic bags she'd brought in a canvas tote. She checked the slope with a small level she kept in her jacket pocket. She looked at the sky, not at clouds, at the angle of the sun. "What are you looking for?" Sienna asked. "pH, drainage, composition." "For what?" Dr. Brennan stood up, brushed dirt from her knees, and looked at Sienna with an expression that wasn't quite a smile, but was close. "You're sitting on gold," she said, "if you pick the right crop." "What should I grow?" "Lavender." Sienna blinked. "Lavender? High-value crop, low maintenance once established, thrives in poor soil, loves this kind of drainage." She looked at the slope of the land. "You've got a 3 to 5% grade. Perfect. And I'm guessing you get at least 8 hours of sun daily. At least. I'll text you the soil results in 2 days. But I'm 90% sure this land is ideal." She handed Sienna a printout she'd apparently prepared before arriving. "With the right investment, you're looking at $40 to $60 per square foot in annual revenue. That's $20,000 or more per acre. If you do it right." Sienna stared at the paper. 20,000 per acre. 12 acres. "Are you interested in doing it right?" Dr. Brennan asked. "I don't have money for investment." "How much do you have?" 4,000, maybe. "Start small, 200 plants, a test plot. See if you can handle the work, then scale." "How much for 200 plants?" "About 900. Plus, you'll need a drip irrigation system. Basic one will run you 3,000. Sienna did the math again. $3,900 she didn't have. "Then find it," Dr. Brennan said. She was already walking back to her car. "Borrow it, work for it, because if you don't invest now, you'll be selling tomatoes for $3 each for the rest of your life." She rolled down the window before she drove away. "Call me when you're ready to think bigger than surviving." That night, Sienna sat at the kitchen table with a legal pad and did the math for 2 hours. 200 plants, $890. Irrigation system, $3,200. And total $4,090. She had $4,180 in her account. If she spent everything, she'd have $90 left. No cushion, no emergency fund, no way to pay for anything unexpected. And on a 44-year-old property with no water heater and a cracked porch step, there was always something unexpected. She called Natalie at 11:30 p.m. "I need to borrow money," she said. "How much?" $3,200. Silence. "Sienna, that's a lot." "I know. What's it for?" She told her everything, the lavender, the plan, Dr. Brennan's projections, the $20,000 per acre. She told it straight, no sales pitch, no pleading, just the numbers and what she believed about them. "Okay," Natalie said. "Okay." A pause. "I believe you. I'll transfer it tomorrow. I'll pay you back with interest." "Don't pay me back until you're profitable, and you will be." Sienna cried after they hung up, first time she had cried in 2 months. Not sad tears. Something else. The specific release of someone who has been carrying something alone for a long time and has just for a moment been allowed to put it down. The next morning, the money hit her account. She ordered 200 lavender plants from a farm in Oregon. She paid for the drip irrigation system. She scheduled installation, bank account after $12, August 10th, 2021. She was all in. September 2021. The plants arrived. 200 lavender seedlings in small plastic pots packed in cardboard, shipped from Oregon. Sienna spent 3 days planting them in the test plot. 0.3 acres, rows spaced 3 feet apart, each plant set at the correct depth, each one watered by hand until the irrigation system was connected. She had never done this before. She had studied soil science and sustainable agriculture in textbooks and labs. She had written papers about it, but she had never actually planted 200 of anything and watched to see what happened. The first frost came on October 28th. She woke up at 5 a.m., went outside in the dark with a flashlight, and checked every plant. 197 survived. That's 98.5%. 98 points. She texted Dr. Brennan at 6:17 a.m., 197 of 200. Is that good? Dr. Brennan replied 4 minutes later, That's excellent. You have a gift for this. Sienna read the message 3 times. A gift. Nobody had ever said she had a gift for anything. Her family didn't visit. September, October, November, December, not once. 2 phone calls from her mother, both under 90 seconds. Both times, the same exchange. Are you managing? Okay, good. Click. Her father sent 1 email in December. Subject line, property tax reminder. The body contained 1 sentence. Tax bill due January 10th, $4,200. Hope you're managing. No Merry Christmas. No, how are you? Just a reminder that she owed money. She paid the tax on January 9th, 2022. It wiped out 3 months of savings from a data entry job she'd picked up at $18 an hour, 25 hours a week, working nights on a laptop at the kitchen table. Thanksgiving 2021. Her mother called 2 days before. We're having dinner at the house, 4 o'clock. Can you come? Sienna drove down, 2.5 hours. She arrived at 4, walked into the house, and found Garrett at the kitchen island with his new girlfriend, Madison. 26, worked in PR, wore a Tory Burch dress, and talked about her Soho spin class and a trip she was planning to Mykonos. Dinner started at 4:30. Her father asked Garrett about work. Garrett talked for 40 minutes. About leaving Goldman Sachs, about trading full-time, about crypto opportunities, about building a portfolio that would free him from needing anyone. Her father nodded, asked follow-up questions, leaned forward in the way he leaned forward when something interested him. At 5:47 p.m., he turned to Sienna. How's the house? Fine, she said. Good. That was it. 1 question, 4 words, 5 seconds. He turned back to Garrett. They ate pie. Sienna left at 7:15. On the drive back, she cried so hard she had to pull over. She sat on the shoulder of the highway for 11 minutes with the hazard lights on, hands gripping the wheel, and let it happen. The specific grief of being invisible to the people who are supposed to see you most clearly. Then she pulled back onto the highway and drove north. Winter 2021 into 2022. Sienna worked the data entry job 5 days a week, drove to the farmer's market on Saturdays, and spent every free hour planning the expansion. By March 2022, she had enough saved to buy 1,200 more lavender plants. $4,800 paid on a payment plan she negotiated with the supplier. She expanded to 2.1 acres. In March, Garrett called, the first time in 10 months. Hey, random question, do you still have that land? Yes. I have a buddy who might want to buy cheap land upstate. You interested in selling? What's he offering? Could probably get you around $250,000. $250,000. $52,000 more than her father had said it was worth. Still less than a third of what Garrett's apartment had cost. I'm not selling, Sienna said. Suit yourself? He hung up. She went back to her irrigation schedule. By July 2022, the original 197 plants were ready for their first real harvest. 89 pounds of dried lavender, she weighed it 3 times because she couldn't believe it. She sold it at markets. $22 a pound. Total revenue, $1,820. Total costs that season, including water, supplies, and market fees, $2,340. She lost $520. But she had 12 names in a notebook. People who had placed bulk orders for 2023 wedding planners, boutiques, an essential oil company. 12 names, 12 reasons not to stop. She texted Natalie. First harvest, 89 pounds. I cried when I weighed it. Natalie replied, You're doing it. You're actually doing it. Fall 2022. Sienna went deep. She reinvested everything. Took out $8,500 in credit card debt at 22.9% APR, a decision she hated making but made with clear eyes, and bought enough plants to expand to 7.2 acres. 60% of the property, now in lavender. She was working 73 hours a week. Data entry, farm work, Saturday markets, late nights on the laptop, writing email orders and invoices by hand. In April 2023, she had her first profitable month. Revenue, $5,830. Costs, $3,180. Net, $2,650. She sat at the kitchen table for 20 minutes without moving, looking at the number on her phone. $6,892 in her bank account. First time over $5,000 since she'd moved in. She called Natalie. 1 month of profit, she said. Proof it can work. I always knew it would work, Natalie said. You didn't. You just believed me. Same thing. Instagram. 1,834 followers. Still mostly bots. But real people were starting to appear. People who tagged their friends, who messaged her to say they'd bought lavender sachets from her, and could they order more. Small connections, but real ones. Dr. Brennan visited in May 2023, the first time in 18 months. She walked the fields in silence for 10 minutes, touching plants, checking soil, reading the land the way she always had. Finally, she stopped and turned. People who see what I see. For what? Don't say no before you hear them out. June 18th, 2024, 6:38 in the evening. Sienna was watering the far section of the field, rows 12 through 18, the most recently planted. The sun was setting. Golden hour in the Hudson Valley. The kind of light that photographers drive hours to find. The kind of light that makes everything look like it was lit for a film. She stopped and looked at the field. 7 acres of lavender, rows running in clean lines toward the tree line, the purple so dense it looked painted, the light hitting it at an angle that made the whole field seem to glow from the inside. She pulled out her phone. She recorded 47 seconds. No filter, no ring light, no script, no production. Just the field, the light, the sound of the wind through the plants. She typed a caption. 3 years ago, this was dead land. Today, it's 7 acres of lavender. Sometimes you have to plant your own miracle. She posted it, put her phone in her pocket, and went back to watering. By 8:15 p.m., 12,000 views. She thought that was a lot. She refreshed. By 10:47 p.m., 340,000 views. She didn't sleep. She checked every hour. June 19th, 7 a.m., 2.1 million views. June 20th, 11 p.m., 8.3 million views. 8.3 million people had seen her field. Her inbox had 834 DM requests. She scrolled through them. Spam, mostly. But between the spam, Hudson Valley Magazine. We'd love to feature you. 3 wedding planners asking if the farm was available for events. An essential oil company, interested in wholesale partnership, and one message that changed everything. June 25th, 2024. 10. We invest in sustainable agriculture businesses. Your story caught our attention. Are you open to a conversation? Timothy Schaefer, VP Acquisitions. Verdant Ventures, LLC. She Googled them. A venture capital firm with 14 sustainable agriculture businesses in their portfolio. Farms, organic dairies, and apiary cooperative. All legitimate, all still operating, all growing. She didn't reply. Not yet. Her follower count, 8,340 on June 18th. By June 25th, 135,200. Product orders flooded in. Revenue that month, $18,950. The previous month, it had been $4,200. She had 8 wedding venue deposits, $2,500 each. $20,000 in secured revenue for 2025. She called Natalie. "I think it's happening," she said. "What's happening?" "I don't know yet, but something big." On June 21st, Garrett called for the first time in 2 years. "Hey, Sienna, saw your thing on Instagram. Pretty cool. We should catch up." She let it go to voicemail. She listened once, then deleted it and blocked his number. He hadn't called in 2 years, hadn't texted, hadn't asked how she was or whether she was warm in winter or whether the farm was surviving. But her video had 8 million views, and suddenly he wanted to catch up. She called Dr. Brennan instead. "The Verdant Ventures guy reached out," she said. "Timothy Schaefer." "Yes, he's legitimate, but get a lawyer before you talk to him." Dr. Brennan gave her a name, Amanda Cortez, agricultural business attorney, $350 an hour. Sienna booked a consultation, June 28th. Amanda's office in Poughkeepsie, 42 years old, sharp suit, the kind of lawyer who asks the first question before you've sat down. "What do you want from this conversation?" Amanda said. "Money, control, or both?" "I don't know yet." "Then figure it out before you meet with them, because they'll offer whichever one you don't ask for." She reviewed Verdant's email, read it twice. "They don't reach out unless they see 7 figures, she said. "Your farm, your brand, your Instagram combined. That's worth at least $1 million, possibly more. Do I have to sell? No. But if you do, negotiate for more than money. Negotiate for control. Make them need you." July 2nd, 2024. Her father's birthday. 62 years old. Her mother called that morning. "We're having dinner. Can you come?" Sienna drove down. She arrived at 4:30 and went inside, moving through the familiar rooms with the familiar feeling of someone who grew up somewhere and is no longer sure what they're returning to. Garrett's car wasn't in the driveway yet. Her mother was in the kitchen, busy with dinner, asking Sienna to set the table with the easy intimacy of a woman who had never fully understood what she'd done. At 4:52, Sienna was in the hallway. Her mother was on the phone in the kitchen, voice lowered. She didn't know Sienna was there. "I don't care what you have to do. Find a way. He's your son too, Douglas." Pause. "The apartment is already mortgaged. What else is there?" Pause. "How much?" Pause. "Jesus Christ, how does someone lose $890,000? Sienna went still. "Private lenders, Douglas. Those people. August 15th. That's 6 weeks. Where are we supposed to get that kind of money?" Her mother turned, saw her. Face went pale. "I'll call you back," she said, and hung up. They ate dinner. Garrett arrived 45 minutes late, thinner than Sienna remembered, shadows under his eyes. When her father asked about work, he said he was between opportunities. After dinner, Sienna helped clear plates. Her parents disappeared into the study. She heard her mother's voice through the half-open door. "We can't let him lose everything. That farm is worth something now. She'll understand. She has to." Her father's voice quieter. "She's doing well. She doesn't need it like he does." Sienna set the plates down, walked out the front door, got in her car. 2.5 hours of thinking. July 3rd, 2024, 11:38 p.m. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Tell your brother. Time's up." August 15th. No extensions. Wrong number. Meant for her mother. But now she knew everything. She lay on her back in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Private lenders. August 15th. $890,000 lost. She researched it the next morning. The Luna crypto collapse, May 2022. A stable coin that had imploded overnight and taken down anyone who had concentrated too much faith in one algorithm. Billions lost. Garrett had been among them. May 2022. The same month Sienna had been harvesting her first 89 pounds of lavender. While she was bleeding money into soil, he had been bleeding it into code. The difference, hers grew back. She had a choice. Wait for them to ask or take control before they could. July 4th, 2024. 3:47 p.m. She emailed Timothy Schaefer. "I'm ready to talk." He replied at 8:12 p.m. on a national holiday. "How's July 14th? 2 p.m. I can meet you in Cold Spring." She called Amanda, booked her. Then she moved the meeting up by 2 weeks. June 30th, 2024. Cup and Saucer Cafe, Cold Spring, New York. Timothy Schaefer was 51, gray hair, confident handshake, a corporate lawyer with a briefcase, and a recorder for notes. He ordered coffee and got right to it. "We've been following your growth. 8 million views doesn't happen by accident. You've built a brand, not just a farm. We want to scale it." "What does that mean?" "We buy the property, the business, the IP, your Instagram, your branding, your customer list. We invest in infrastructure, hire a team, turn this into a regional destination. And I do what? Whatever you want. Walk away with the money or stay on and help us grow it." He slid a paper across the table. $2.4 million. For everything. Amanda touched Sienna's arm under the table, leaned in. "Step outside with me." Parking lot. Amanda lit a cigarette. "They're lowballing. The land alone is worth 1.8 now. The business is worth another 1.5 minimum. They're hoping you don't know that. What should I ask for? 3.2. And demand a management role. You're the brand. They need you." They went back in. Sienna sat down, looked at Timothy. "I appreciate the offer, but I've built this brand personally. Customers trust me, not a corporation. I'll sell for 2.85 million, with one condition." He raised an eyebrow. "I stay on as managing director. 2 years. Salary of $185,000 per year, plus 3% profit share. Non-negotiable." Timothy looked at his lawyer, looked back at her. "That's actually very reasonable," he said. "We'd want you to stay on anyway. Brand continuity is critical." He extended his hand. "Give us 48 hours to draft the contract." July 8th, 2024. Amanda called at 2:47 p.m. They accepted every term. July 8th. The contract arrived. 47 pages. Sienna read every word. 3 hours. Signed at 1:22 p.m. "When's closing?" she asked. They proposed July 25th. "Can we do July 14th? "Why that date specifically?" "I have my reasons." July 11th, 10:23 a.m. She was watering row 14 when she heard a car, her mother, Honda Accord, alone. They sat on the porch. Her mother didn't ask how she was. Didn't mention the lavender, which was in full bloom, 6,000 plants across 7 acres, the field behind them purple and heavy with scent. She got straight to it. "Your brother is in trouble, serious trouble. He needs money, at least $800,000. The apartment is already mortgaged. Your father and I have maybe $200,000 in savings. And you have 72 hours to give this place back. Your brother will take over. He'll sell it. Use the money to settle his debts. What do I get? We'll give you $50,000 to start over somewhere else. $50,000. For a farm she had just sold for $2.85 million, a contract she had signed 10 days ago that her mother didn't know existed. "You're young," her mother said. "You're 30. You can build another garden. Garrett is 35. He can't start from zero." "I built this from zero," Sienna said. "You had the land. Garrett had an $847,000 apartment." Her mother's face tightened. "This is different." "How?" "Garrett made one mistake. You want your brother to suffer forever?" Sienna stood up. "I need to think about it." "There's nothing to think about. July 14th, noon. Your father will come with Garrett to take over. Pack what you need." She walked to her car, turned. "This is family, Sienna. You do this for family." She drove away. Sienna sat on the porch for 11 minutes. Then she called Amanda Cortez. "Can we make the closing public?" "What?" "A ceremony, witnesses, press, as many people as possible." Pause. "What happened?" "My family just tried to take it back. I want them to see they can't." July 12th. Sienna's phone buzzed at 9:14 a.m. Her mother had accidentally forwarded an email from Garrett's Gmail to her Yahoo, sent July 9th, 2 days before her mother had shown up at the farm. "Mom, I need at least $800,000, or they'll take everything. The apartment, the car, everything. I've been stalling for weeks, but August 15th is a hard deadline. Can you sell her farm? She's just playing with dirt anyway. You said it went viral. That means it's worth something now, right? Maybe $600,000 to $700,000. She's 30, she can get a real job. I can't start over at 35 with nothing." Dad agrees with me. He's just too scared to say it. "Please, Mom, I'm drowning here. I made a mistake with Luna, but I can't let one mistake destroy my whole life." Sienna read it 4 times, playing with the dirt. 3 years of 14-hour days in 90-degree heat. $18 an hour data entry, work at midnight. A $12 rollerball pen she'd had since college because she couldn't justify buying a new one. She can get a real job. A business that had generated $18,950 in a single month. Dad agrees with me. She took a screenshot, saved it to her phone, her laptop, Google Drive, forwarded it to Amanda with the subject line, FYI, context for Sunday's ceremony. Then she opened her laptop and started the guest list. Dr. Amelia Brennan, Natalie Crane, Hudson Valley Magazine, the Poughkeepsie Journal, the county supervisor, Amanda Cortez, Timothy Schaefer, and the Verdant team, 12 business partners, 8 local business owners, 3 neighbors, 10 Instagram followers who had become actual friends over 3 years of DMs. By 8 p.m., 38 confirmed. July 13th, 2024. The tent arrived in the morning. 60 white folding chairs arranged in rows on the grass. A table at the front for signing documents. 6 bottles of champagne on ice by the entrance. The sign arrived at 3:47 p.m. 8 feet wide, 4 feet tall. Professional vinyl print, the kind that's impossible to miss from a distance. Under new ownership, Verdant Ventures. LLC. Sienna unwrapped it on the lawn and stood looking at it for a long time. That evening, she drove 45 minutes to a J. Crew outlet, bought a navy suit, first suit she'd ever owned. $340 marked down from $580. Black pumps are $89. She hadn't worn heels in 4 years. Back home, she hung the suit on the bedroom door and practiced her speech in the mirror. "Thank you all for coming. 3 years ago, I received a piece of land most people thought was worthless." She ran it 6 times before she got the first sentence right. At 11:47 p.m., she couldn't sleep. She walked out to the lavender fields. The moon was 82% full, waxing gibbous, bright enough to cast shadows. She stood in the middle of row 7 and touched the plants, the same plants she had put in the ground, with $12 left in her bank account. "Tomorrow," she said quietly, "they find out what I'm actually worth." July 14th, 2024, noon exactly. 58 people in 60 chairs. Hudson Valley Magazine with a photographer. The Poughkeepsie Journal with a reporter and a second photographer. The county supervisor, Janet Kowalski, in the front row. And at the edge of the property, just past the gate, 3 people who had not been invited. Garrett had arrived at 11:52. Silver Dodge Ram, 2019 model, 2 empty cardboard boxes in the truck bed. He'd rounded the bend, seen the tent, seen 40-plus vehicles, seen people in business attire standing in groups with coffee cups, and hit the brake. He sat in his truck for 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Then he got out and walked toward the gate. His face was red. His fists were at his sides. He didn't see Sienna yet. He saw Timothy Schaefer, 51, gray hair, standing with the county supervisor, and stopped. "What the hell is this? Where's my sister?" A minute later, her mother's Honda Accord, her father in the passenger seat. They saw the tent, the sign. Her mother gripped the steering wheel. Her father stared straight ahead and said something Sienna couldn't hear from across the field. Her mother didn't get out immediately. At 11:58, Sienna stepped out of the tent, navy suit, hair pulled back, clipboard in hand. She saw all three of them, Garrett, Vivian, Douglas, and looked at her father first. He looked away. Garrett walked toward her. "What is this? Mom said you were giving this back. What the hell's going on? The ceremony starts in 2 minutes. You're welcome to stay and watch." "Ceremony? What ceremony? Sienna, we need to talk right now." "We will this afternoon. Right now, I have guests." Timothy Schaefer stepped forward, extended his hand to Garrett. "You must be the brother. Sienna's told us a lot about you. Congratulations on having such a brilliant sister." Garrett looked at Timothy's hand. Didn't take it. At noon exactly, Amanda Cortez stepped to the microphone. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this special occasion." Amanda spoke for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. 3 years ago, Sienna Fry received 12 acres of what many considered unusable land. Today, that land is valued at $2.85 million, and the business she built is thriving. Gasps from the crowd. She heard her mother's sharp intake of breath. This is a story of vision, of persistence, and of refusing to accept other people's limitations. Applause. Her father was staring at the ground. County Supervisor Janet Kowalski spoke for 3 minutes, 12 seconds. Dr. Amelia Brenham, when given the floor, stood and walked to the front without notes. "I met Sienna at a farmer's market 3 years ago. She had made $43 that day and was thrilled." Soft laughter. "I tested her soil, told her she had potential. She didn't just meet that potential." Her voice cracked. She exceeded it. Now, I've watched her work 14-hour days in 90-degree heat, troubleshoot irrigation systems at midnight, turn dirt into gold, not because she had resources, because she refused to quit. That's not luck, that's character. Natalie, in the third row, was crying. Timothy Schaefer spoke last, before the signing. "Our offer was $2.85 million for the property and business, but Sienna negotiated something most sellers don't think to ask for." He paused. "She demanded to stay. For the next 2 years, she'll serve as managing director, salary of $185,000 annually, plus 3% profit share." He looked at her. "She's not selling out. She's scaling up." The crowd erupted. Grace Chen from Hudson Valley Magazine raised her hand. "Miss Fry, what do you plan to do with the proceeds from the sale?" Sienna stepped to the microphone. 41 faces, including her families. "Pay back the people who believed in me when no one else did," she said, "and invest in the next woman who gets handed worthless land." More applause. Patricia Moss, the notary public, 61, official New York State seal, the most important person at the whole event, set the documents on the table. "Sign here, here, and initial here." Timothy signed at 12:24 p.m. Sienna signed at 12:27 p.m. She used her own pen at a $12 rollerball she'd had since college. She had brought it specifically for this. As of 12:27 p.m., July 14th, 2024, Patricia said, pressing the seal. "This property is officially transferred." The champagne was poured. Timothy raised his glass. "To Sienna Fry, managing director, entrepreneur, and proof that the best revenge is success." When the crowd settled, she looked toward where her family had been standing. Only her father was still there. Vivian and Garrett were gone. He walked toward her. First words he'd said to her in person in 8 months. "Can we talk, just for a minute?" At 1:47 p.m., in the living room of the house her father had called worthless, the 4 of them sat together for the last time as a family that hadn't yet decided what it was. Garrett had come back. He'd been sitting in his truck for 40 minutes. "You knew," he said. "You knew we needed this, and you sold it anyway." "I knew you wanted it," Sienna said. "I didn't know you needed it until your mother showed up 3 days ago. By then, I'd already signed the contract 2 weeks before she came." 2 weeks? You could have waited. You could have split the money with me. I'm your brother." You're right, you are. And when you graduated, Dad gave you an $847,000 apartment. When I graduated, he gave me dirt. Did you offer to split that with me? Silence. That was different. How? Vivian. Sienna, please. Your brother made a mistake, one mistake. Sienna stood. He didn't make one mistake, he made a series of decisions. He quit a $230,000 salary to gamble on crypto. He lost $890,000. He mortgaged his apartment. He borrowed from private lenders at 18% monthly interest. Those weren't mistakes. Those were decisions. He's your brother. I built this in spite of you, not because of you. Her father, who had been silent for 11 minutes, spoke. Vivian, stop. He looked at Sienna. I gave you that land because I thought it couldn't hurt you. I was wrong. It could have broken you, but you... His voice cracked. You made it matter. His hands were shaking. The tremor she hadn't noticed before. I didn't think you had it in you. I thought Garrett was the one who'd make something of himself. I was wrong about both of you. He sat back. I enabled you, Garrett. Every bad decision. And Sienna, I underestimated you. Both were failures on my part. Sienna felt something crack open in her chest. 3 years. She had been waiting to hear those words for 3 years. You could have told me that before I spent 1,000 nights wondering if you were right about me, she said. She walked to the door. I'm not giving you money to fix Garrett's mistakes. I'm not giving you access to my business, but I'm not cutting you out of my life. Not yet. She looked at all three of them. I need time to decide if I can forgive you for trying to take the first thing I ever built. You have my number. Don't use it unless you're ready to apologize for real. Not because you need help. For assuming you were owed my success because Garrett failed. She walked out. Natalie was waiting by the tent. She saw Sienna's face, didn't ask questions, and just opened her arms. Through the window, she heard her mother's voice. This is your fault, Douglas. You made her like this. And her father, quiet, barely audible. No, I tried to break her like this. She made herself anyway. 6 months later. The farmhouse had heat now. Real heat. A new system installed in August. The same month, the Whole Foods contract was being negotiated. Sienna sat at the head of a table with 9 employees. December revenue, $86,300. 14% over projection. Production up 22% from October. The Whole Foods contract had been signed November 12th. $1.2 million annually. Lavender products in grocery stores across the Northeast, starting February 1st. Garrett filed for bankruptcy in October. His apartment sold in November for $680,000. After mortgages and liens, nothing. He was living in her parents' house again, working at her father's friend's logistics company as an operations coordinator. $52,000 a year. In October, her mother had called. Your father was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Early stage, I thought you should know. The call lasted 8 minutes and 12 seconds. Sienna asked about treatment, about prognosis. She didn't visit. When will you be ready? Her mother asked. I'll let you know when I know. On December 20th, a Christmas card arrived. Her father's handwriting. Shaky now. The tremor visible in every letter. We're proud of you. We should have said it years ago. We should have shown it. We didn't. That failure is ours, not yours. We're sorry. Dad, beneath it, her mother's handwriting. You don't have to forgive us, but please know we see you now. Mom, 36 words. She didn't respond, but she didn't throw it away. She put it in her desk drawer. On January 1st at 3:47 in the morning, a text came from a Boston number she didn't recognize. It was Garrett. He'd gotten a new phone. I'm not asking you to respond. I just need to say this. I'm sorry. Not for needing help, for thinking your success was somehow taken from me. For thinking Dad giving you the bad land meant you'd fail. for thinking I deserved more because I'm older or because I'm a man or because I went to a better school. I get it now. Too late, I know. But I get it. You didn't take anything from me. I threw away what I had. That's on me. I hope you're doing well. You deserve to be. Gee, 118 words. She read it 6 times. On January 4th, she replied, "Thank you. I'm not ready to see you yet. But thank you." On January 18th, after the team meeting, she walked out into the snow-covered lavender fields. 28 degrees. Sun setting at 5:52 p.m., 4 inches of snow on the ground. The lavender was dormant, 4,100 plants, 97% survival rate, waiting for spring. Property value, $3.1 million. Her net worth after taxes, after paying Natalie back double, after investments, $1.87 million. She took a photo, lavender at sunset, snow-covered, and posted it. Year 1 of new ownership complete, 12 acres, 9 people employed, 8.3 million reasons. I'm grateful you believed in something I built from dirt. Here's to year 2. To everyone who's been handed the thing nobody wanted and told to be grateful, you don't owe them your success, but you owe yourself the chance to try. First hour, 47,300 likes. Dr. Brennan commented, "Proud doesn't even begin to cover it." Natalie, "I knew you'd do it. I always knew." And then near the bottom, a comment from an account she recognized, her father's. First time he'd ever commented on her Instagram. "Your mother and I are proud of you. We should have said it sooner." She read it 3 times, didn't respond, but she didn't delete it either. She went inside, made tea, lavender chamomile from her own harvest, sat in the living room that used to freeze, 68 degrees now. This house that was supposed to be worthless, this land that was supposed to break her. She smiled, not a triumphant smile, a tired one, a real one. The smile of someone who planted something in frozen ground and watched it survive, a winter she wasn't supposed to survive. Outside, snow was still falling. Inside, she was warm. She whispered to herself, the same words she'd whispered a year and a half ago, standing in the dark in row 7. They tried to take it back. They didn't understand.